Hey, Spartan fans, welcome into this latest edition of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. I'm your beat reporter from Michigan State Spartans on SI, Aidan Champion. We talked about the defensive side of the ball on Tuesday. Going to look back on the offensive side, particularly with one specific player, and that is Nick Marsh. Expected to be wide receiver one, goes into a sophomore season, and Michigan State fans very happy about or very excited about Nick Marsh and his potential, and the staff is as well. Players are, but the national media has not been very high on Nick Marsh this offseason. Don't necessarily know why, but that was further evident today when he was left off of the Biletnikoff Award watch list. Two other Spartans, however, Krishan McCray and Omari Kelly, two veteran transfers, did make the cut, and I would say rightfully so. They both great receivers and maybe have more that they've shown in their career. I mean, they do, but Nick Marsh, um, just not getting the credit he deserves. And I'm wondering, is is the media right? The national media, are they right to be overlooking him? Um, when you put in those terms, no, I mean, you shouldn't overlook Nick Marsh. He's going to be a great receiver. At some point, I'd anticipate him to be one of the best to ever come through Michigan State's program. But um, as far as this season goes, I mean, is there a world where Krishan McCray and Omari Kelly have better seasons? At least one of them? I guess so, yeah. But uh, for that to happen, um, I would say um, it would just have to be a scenario where they both, or at least one of them, are just as good as they were uh, at their past programs. Which that it's hard to gauge how good they can be at this level, considering they're both coming from smaller schools. But regardless of the level, talent is talent, and they were both, all conference honorees. Um, at one point or another, both of them were first team. But will they be more productive than Nick Marsh? I really don't think so. I mean, this is a guy who showed so much promise in just his freshman year. Um, you know, on an offense that wasn't great, was not very consistent. So in turn, he wasn't all that consistent. But Michigan State, I mean, we knew they had something special with him after that Maryland game. Um, I think the rest of maybe the rest of the Big Ten caught on. If you remember at that point, Michigan State, I mean, things were looking great. They pulled off that win at Maryland, start off 2-0. Aiden Childs had a great game bouncing back from that Florida Atlantic game. And so I think that people started to, the outlook grew more positive for Michigan State. And it was looking like here's the Jonathan Smith regime. They're serious. Michigan State's going to make noise. Well, we saw how that all kind of fell apart. Didn't help them though that they had Ohio State and Oregon back to back. The Boston College game should have won that. Had opportunities to win it, um, but things were looking good there for a little bit, and maybe fans just got a little too ahead of themselves. Um, there's an opportunity to bounce back this season. Not talking about that though. Nick Marsh is the topic. Um, it's just it. I don't understand it, and nobody else does either. At least in the Michigan State community, why he's not getting his flowers. Did people not watch him last year? Do they? It'd be one thing if he had a new quarterback. Even then, I wouldn't look too hard at that, depending on who it is. But you've got Aiden Childs back, and they have got a great connection. They're both coming up together. They're both expected to take leaps this year and come into their own. Um, it really could be one of the best QB wide receiver connections we see in the Big Ten this year because you've got the chemistry, and they're both so talented and have such high potential. Um, and if you just watch some of the plays they made together last year, it was remarkable, especially for two young guys. With Marsh being a freshman last year, Aiden Childs being a first year starter. Um, both new programs, having not ever played together. I mean, that's something they're going to build off of. Nick Marsh this offseason has become a student of the game. Courtney Hawkins talked about that back in the spring. He's noticed a difference in that area from a mental standpoint. Um, and so because of all those things, I don't see how Nick Marsh is not better this year and how he doesn't emerge as one of the better wide receivers in the Big Ten. Um, so yeah, I mean, it just I I don't I don't understand it. Um, I guess maybe the national media is more so looking at maybe um, guys who are proven, um, which would be Krishan McCray and Omari Kelly, but but you've got to consider potential too. And who's to say that Omari Kelly and Krishan McCray, excuse me, that Amari Kelly and Krishan McCray are able to carry over their success from smaller level. Um, I mean, that's a big question. That's not something you can guarantee, especially in a room that has them and Marsh, Rodney Bowler, um, and some others. It's going to be a very talented wide receiver room. Probably going to be one of the best in the conference. So when you consider those factors, what makes you say that they're you know um, two guys to watch for as some of the best receivers in the country? Not saying they shouldn't be, but how does that argument trump the argument for Marsh? I don't know, but better start paying attention because Marsh is going to prove people wrong this year. Um, and he's going to do it quickly, I believe, right off the bat. You're going to be seeing his highlights on social media, all over the place. I'd be shocked if we don't. So I don't know. It's beyond me, but preseason watch lists don't mean a thing. They do not mean a thing. And they always get the pot stirring, get people excited for the season. But I hope Nick Marsh does look at that and say, this is something I'll remember. Um, I wouldn't expect there to be much chatter about it in the locker room. One, players don't, or at least they say they don't. They don't pay attention to that stuff. They block it out. But two, you can't really bash it when two of your teammates made the list. You gotta be happy for them, and um, but I'm sure they're. I'd be surprised if they weren't wondering the same thing why Marsh wasn't being considered. But I think it all just boils down to inexperience, and they're waiting for him to prove himself if he didn't already last season. Um, so again, just preseason talk. Fortunately, the season is right around the corner, so we won't have to wait too long for the Spartans and Nick Marsh to prove people wrong. Um, he'll be here soon, and I mean, we've been hearing great things out of fall camp, and it is good to see the fan base getting excited now. People were kind of down. I felt throughout a lot of the offseason, and there wasn't much football talk, but I see the fan base. I'm feeling the energy. People are getting high on Michigan State again, and I think you definitely should be. I think this will be a improved team. So, with all that said, thank you everyone for tuning in as always and for supporting us with your engagement. And you can read all of our content on Michigan State Spartans on SI, giving you tons of daily content, bringing you coverage from fall camp. Um, and uh, and we love doing it. I hope you're all having a great week, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.